opening with impact. Have you ever felt like life has knocked you down so hard you couldn't imagine getting back up? Imagine waking up every day feeling like the world is built for someone else. For me, every small task was a mountain to climb. And yet here I am, standing before you not as someone extraordinary, but as proof that obstacles are meant to be conquered, not surrendered to. When life told me you can't, I decided to shout back, watch me. Imagine being told that your life would always be limited, that the dreams you held in your heart were impossible, and that you would never measure up to the world's expectations. Now picture yourself not just surviving those doubts, but shattering every single one of them. That's the kind of story I want to share with you. Life is full of moments when we feel defeated, hopeless, and trapped by circumstances beyond our control. Maybe you faced them to a diagnosis, a heartbreak, a failure so overwhelming it knocked the wind out of you. Or maybe it's just the weight of everyday life that feels too heavy to carry. But let me tell you something, it's in those moments when the world counts you out that you have the opportunity to show what you're truly made of. I remember a time when I felt utterly helpless, questioning my purpose and wondering if I even had one. The challenges in my life weren't just inconveniences, they were monumental barriers, the kind that seemed immovable. I could have chosen to stay in that place of despair, convincing myself that life was unfair and that I was destined for less. But instead, I made a choice. I chose not to focus on what I couldn't do, but on what I could. That choice changed everything. Here's the thing, when you face life's challenges, you're faced with a decision. You can either let them define you or you can redefine them. I learned that the most powerful way to do that is to start by shifting your perspective. Every challenge is like a mountain, and every mountain seems impossible to climb until you take that first step. There were days when I doubted myself, but something deep inside me whispered, just try. So I tried and I failed, and I tried again. And with every small victory, learning to adapt, finding joy in the little things, I began to build a foundation of resilience. That resilience didn't come from never falling. It came from choosing to get back up every single time. As I look back now, I realize that the hardest moments of my life were also the most transformative. They taught me that you don't need to have it all to make a difference. You don't need to be perfect to inspire someone. You just need to be willing to show up, scars and all, and say, I'm not done yet. So as you listen to my story today, I want you to think about your own life. What challenges are you facing? What doubts are holding you back? And most importantly, what could you achieve if you decided right here and now to give it everything you've got? This is not just my story, it's a story for anyone who has ever felt small, broken, or defeated. It's a reminder that no matter where you are or what you're facing, you have the strength to rise. You have the power to do what others say you can't. You just have to believe it, take that first step, and never stop climbing. Against all odds, you can. Life, as we know it, is never a smooth road. It's filled with bumps, detours, and sometimes even dead ends that make us question our ability to keep moving forward. Yet in these moments of struggle, the question is not whether obstacles will come, they will. The real question is how we choose to face them. Will we let them stop us in our tracks, or will we rise to meet them, knowing that each challenge holds the potential for transformation? Obstacles come in many forms. For some, they are physical, visible barriers that seem impossible to overcome. For others, they are emotional battles, the kind that whisper lies to our hearts and convince us that we're not enough. And sometimes they are circumstantial, like the unexpected turns in life that leave us feeling unprepared and overwhelmed. Whatever form they take, these obstacles have one thing in common. They test our resilience and our willingness to push beyond what feels possible. But here's the truth, obstacles are not the enemy. They are opportunities in disguise. They force us to pause, to reevaluate, and to tap into a strength we may not even know we possess. Without them, we would never grow. Without them, we wouldn't truly appreciate what it means to succeed. They remind us that life is not about avoiding challenges, but about facing them with courage and determination. When I think about overcoming obstacles, I don't just think of the big dramatic moments. I think of the small daily battles, the ones that seem insignificant but require every ounce of willpower to conquer. It's in those moments when you choose to try again despite failing, to forgive despite the pain, or to stand back up after falling, that you begin to understand what you're truly capable of. Overcoming obstacles isn't just about grit, it's also about perspective. It's about seeing challenges not as roadblocks, but as stepping stones. It's about recognizing that the very things meant to hold you back are the same things that can propel you forward if you let them. Each challenge brings a lesson, and each lesson builds strength. Over time, you realize that the obstacles you once feared are the very experiences that shaped your character and gave you the tools to handle whatever comes next. Some might say that obstacles are proof of life's unfairness, but I see them as proof of life's potential. After all, diamonds are formed under pressure, and the strongest steel is forged in fire. You are no different. Every challenge you face, no matter how difficult, is an invitation to become more than you were yesterday. It's an invitation to grow, to stretch beyond your limits, and to discover the depth of your own resilience. So the next time you face an obstacle, remember this: it's not there to defeat you. It's there to define you. It's there to remind you of your strength, your courage, and your ability to rise. You don't just overcome obstacles, you grow because of them. And in doing so, you become unstoppable. Connection is one of the most powerful forces in life. It's what binds us to one another, allowing us to share not only our triumphs, but also our struggles. Yet in a world that often glorifies perfection, it can be easy to feel isolated in the face of adversity. We tend to think we're the only ones dealing with our specific challenges, that no one else could possibly understand what we're going through. But the truth is, every person you meet is fighting a battle you can't see. And it's in acknowledging our shared humanity that we discover the strength to move forward. Struggles are a universal experience, whether it's financial hardship, a devastating loss, a physical limitation, or an inner battle with self-doubt. Everyone has faced moments where they've questioned their worth or their ability to overcome. These challenges, though deeply personal, are also profoundly relatable. They remind us that no matter how different we may seem at our core, we all desire the same things: love, acceptance, and the belief that we matter. When I share my struggles, it's not because I want sympathy or admiration. It's because I want others to see that they're not alone. Too often we hide our pain, putting up walls to protect ourselves, when what we really need is to let those walls down and allow others to see us as we are flawed but resilient, broken yet healing. In vulnerability, there is strength. And in sharing our struggles, we give others permission to do the same. Empathy is the bridge that connects us, turning our pain into a source of healing for others. When someone says, "I've been there too," it's not just a statement, it's a lifeline. It's a reminder that no matter how dark the moment feels, someone else has walked that path and found their way out. Empathy doesn't solve the problem, but it gives us the courage to face it, knowing we're not in it alone. But connection isn't just about relating to struggles, it's also about celebrating resilience. It's about recognizing the incredible strength it takes to keep going, to rise after falling, and to believe in a better tomorrow, even when today feels impossible. Each story of perseverance is a testament to the human spirit, and sharing those stories inspires others to find their own strength. Life's challenges are not meant to isolate us, they're meant to remind us of our need for one another. When we open up about our struggles and listen to the struggles of others, we create a space where healing and growth can occur. We see that our pain is not a burden to bear alone, but a shared experience that connects us all. So let's choose connection over isolation, empathy over judgment, and vulnerability over perfection. In doing so, we not only lift ourselves, but also those around us. Because when we face life's challenges together, we discover a strength far greater than we ever imagined. And that strength is what will carry us through, no matter what comes our way. There are moments in life when everything seems to fall apart. You hit rock bottom and it feels like there's no way out, no path forward. In these moments, it's easy to believe that it's the end of the road, that the weight of the world is simply too much to bear. But what if I told you that the very point where you think all hope is lost is often the turning point, the moment when everything can begin to change? I remember a time in my life when it seemed like I had reached my lowest point. Everything I had worked so hard for felt like it was slipping through my fingers. The future seemed uncertain, and the burden of failure hung over me like a dark cloud. It would have been so easy to give up, to let the darkness swallow me whole. But in that moment, I made a choice to keep moving forward even when I couldn't see the way ahead. And that decision marked the beginning of a transformation I never could have imagined. The turning point in our lives doesn't always come with fanfare. It's not always an epiphany or a grand moment of clarity. Sometimes it's simply the quiet resolve to keep going, to push through the doubt and the pain, even when every part of you wants to quit. It's in those moments that true change begins, when we realize that our greatest strength lies not in avoiding struggle, but in facing it head on. During that time of hardship, I discovered something profound. It wasn't the circumstances that defined me, but how I chose to respond to them. The power was in my mindset, in my ability to reframe the situation and find the lesson within the pain. The moment I stopped seeing my failure as a permanent state and started seeing it as a stepping stone to something greater, everything shifted. I began to understand that failure wasn't the end of the story, it was just a chapter in the journey. It's so easy to become consumed by the fear of failure, to think that if things don't go as planned, then we've lost. But the truth is, we never truly lose unless we give up. Failure is not a destination, it's a detour, a redirection that leads us to the place we need to be. So every time we fail, we gain something valuable, experience, resilience, and a deeper understanding of what it takes to succeed. The key turning point is not the end of the road, it's the moment when you choose to rise, when you take the first step forward, no matter how uncertain the path may seem. It's in those moments of struggle and doubt that you realize something incredible. You are capable of more than you ever imagined. And that realization, that spark of determination, is what carries you through to the other side. If you find yourself at a crossroads today, facing what seems like an insurmountable challenge, remember that you are not defined by the obstacles in your path. You are defined by how you respond to them. The turning point in your story may be closer than you think, just one decision away. It's the decision to keep going, to believe in the possibility of change, and to trust that even in the darkest moments, there is always a way forward. There's a saying that goes, when you find your purpose, you find your power. It's a truth that resonates deeply because purpose is the fuel that drives us to keep going, even when life seems impossible. It's easy to feel lost, to wonder what the point is when things aren't going your way. But once you discover what truly drives you, once you uncover your purpose, everything changes. Suddenly, obstacles no longer seem like insurmountable barriers, but challenges you are equipped to face. Your purpose gives you direction, strength, and the belief that no matter what happens, you have something worth fighting for. Finding purpose isn't always easy, and it often doesn't happen in an instant. For many of us, it's a journey, one that requires deep reflection, trial and error, and sometimes even hitting rock bottom. But when you begin to align your actions with your true purpose, life begins to transform. The challenges you face become less daunting because they no longer feel pointless. And you understand that each struggle is part of the larger picture, each setback a necessary step toward realizing the greater goal. I've experienced this firsthand. There was a time when I felt adrift, unsure of my place in the world. I was bogged down by doubts and fears, questioning my worth and my future. It wasn't until I began to focus on something bigger than my own struggles, something greater than my immediate desires, that I found clarity. I realized that my purpose wasn't just about my own success or happiness. It was about serving others, about sharing my story to inspire and uplift. This newfound purpose breathed life into my days and gave me the strength to push through even the toughest times. Purpose isn't just about having a grand mission, though. It can be as simple as finding meaning in the work you do, the relationships you build, or the contributions you make to the world around you. It's about connecting with something that stirs your soul and makes you feel like you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Once you find that, everything changes. You become unstoppable, not because the road is easy, but because you understand that it's leading you somewhere significant. Purpose gives you the courage to face adversity. When you know why you're doing something, when you understand that your actions have meaning, you are more likely to push through the challenges. It becomes easier to rise after falling because you know that each setback is just part of your story. There's a deeper reason driving you forward, and that reason will always outweigh the obstacles standing in your way. When you wake up every day with a sense of purpose, you move through life with intention, you begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles, solutions instead of problems. You realize that setbacks aren't failures, they're just lessons that help you refine your purpose. And the more you live in alignment with your purpose, the more you'll find that the universe begins to work with you, not against you. The power of purpose is transformative. It's what fuels you to keep going when everything else tells you to quit. It's the light at the end of the tunnel, the driving force behind every decision you make. Once you find your purpose, you'll discover that you have the strength to face any challenge, to rise above every difficulty, and to achieve things you never thought possible. There's a moment in everyone's life when they must face a difficult truth. The journey won't always be easy. There will be moments when everything seems to be falling apart, when you feel like you're standing at the edge, ready to give up. But in those moments, one of the most important decisions you'll ever make is whether to give in or to rise. Life will test you no matter who you are, no matter how strong you seem, but it's not the tests themselves that define us. It's how we respond to them. And that response will determine whether we stay down or whether we rise again stronger than ever before. It's easy to get discouraged when things aren't going well. In fact, it's natural to feel defeated when life knocks you down. But there's something powerful about choosing to stand back up after every fall, to keep going when it feels like the world is against you. Because here's the truth, every time you rise, you gain something valuable. You gain strength, resilience, and a deeper understanding of who you are. Each time you push through, even when you don't think you can, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. You may not always succeed in the way you expect, and there will be times when you face setbacks, but success isn't always about the outcome, it's about the journey, about the courage to keep moving forward, even when the road is hard. It's about refusing to give up on yourself, even when the world seems to have written you off. The real measure of success is not found in the number of victories, but in the number of times you get up and keep fighting, regardless of the odds. It's during these times of struggle that you find your true strength. You find out what you're made of when you choose to rise instead of retreat. You realize that you are capable of facing even the hardest challenges, and that each time you rise, you gain the tools to face whatever comes next. And the more you rise, the stronger you become. What once seemed impossible becomes just another hurdle to overcome. But rising doesn't just happen on its own. It takes a conscious decision, a commitment to not let the challenges of life define you. It takes belief in yourself, even when no one else believes in you. It's about finding the courage to face the fear, to acknowledge the struggle, and still choose to rise. And every time you do, you add another layer of strength to your foundation. The journey is not about avoiding pain or hardship, it's about how you respond to it. When you choose to rise, you choose to take control of your story. You choose to write the next chapter no matter how difficult it might seem. And in doing so, you realize that you are not a victim of circumstance, but a creator of your own future. So when life knocks you down, don't stay there, rise. Find the strength within you to stand tall, even when the world feels heavy. Because it's in those moments of rising, of pushing forward despite the challenges, that you become the person you were always meant to be: strong, resilient, and unstoppable. The world will throw everything it has at you, but every time you rise, you show the world that nothing can break you. And that, my friend, is where your true power lies.